So, we are going to discuss today if AI is real or is just a buzzword that we all use. Because, yeah, we have been all hearing AI, AI, AI everywhere, and we don't know if that's a bunch of people from whatever country just writing down things or there's a real algorithm behind. So that's why we brought three really interesting people. First of all, we have Alex Hoffman, who is the manager director of a logistic company called TNX Logistics. He stopped playing with trucks when he was a kid to start developing software to be able to take software decisions daily, thousands of them. So please, Alex, could you introduce yourself and explain how you got into AI and what's AI for you?
Absolutely, and thanks, Eduardo, for the introduction. So, as Eduardo said, my name is Alex. I work for a company called TNX Logistics, and what we are doing is helping logistics companies finding trucks every day for thousands and thousands of different cargoes that they're moving throughout Europe, throughout the US, and throughout other parts of the world. I am actually not a data scientist. I'm merely an economist. I got into data science and into AI kind of by accident because it solves a problem. So I look at the whole topic more from the perspective of somebody that is trying to solve a customer issue rather than from somebody that has the technology. So for me, and that's what AI is for me. AI for me is very much, it's a solution to a problem. And it's a good solution to a good group of problems, but it's a solution to a problem.
Thank you very much. We also brought Dirk Petholt, which is here. So Dirk is our fashion person. He is chief of data science in Zalando, which I believe everybody knows. Dirk, by the way, he's hiring. So please, if you're looking for a job, come afterwards and talk to him. He's going to be sitting there and answering questions, and he's going to be really, really happy to answer your questions. So please, Dirk, how did you got into AI, and what's AI for you?
Thank you for the introduction, Eduardo. I'm a mathematician by training, and I learned operations research here at Technical University Berlin. And when this, now I'm sorry that I didn't get into machine learning already at university, because when I learned that you can actually, in operations research, you have to program every step to the machine. So it's super exciting. You have complex algorithms when you solve a network problem or something like this. But you always have to, in all my studies, I really had to hard code every step and then prove it's correct and improve performance. And then when I figured out that AI is you give the solution to the computer, and the computer will kind of program itself, that I thought is really, that's a revolution in how we do compute overall. So AI is a social revolution and everything, but I think it will be a revolution to all of engineering and computer science as well. And today at Zalando, I lead both engineers and data science, and I see those two professions converge more and more with the tools and software that is here, and I think it's incredible, exciting space to work in.
Thank you. So please have a seat. And then we have Florian Petzold. Florian is our poet. He's a master of natural language processing, and he runs a company that what they do is just processing text so people can understand everything better, so bunches and bunches of text without having to go through each independent text. So please, Florian, could you also explain your way into AI and what's AI for you?
Of course, sure. My way into AI is a bit of a strange one. So like 20 years ago when I was studying information systems, I thought about what will I do with my life, and I needed to choose between becoming a musician or engineer. I chose musician. 10 years later, I revised my decision. I became an engineer due to lack of success. And basically then I started like normal engineer career, becoming project lead and stuff. And then eventually my former boss, he asked me if I can take over some huge research project all around semantic technologies, natural language processing and stuff like this, funded by the government. I did this, and like 3 years later I was approached by some weird other guys who had a business idea. It was 7 years ago, was the idea of Leverton, like extracting information out of documents in an AI-assisted way, and I took the opportunity, and that's the reason why I'm here today.
Perfect. Please have a seat. So I would like to go a bit deeper about what your companies are doing in AI, because I mean, every company aims and claims to be developing AI softwares all the time. So please, Alex, I've heard your company is using two different kinds of AI. Could you explain us a bit further how it goes and what they exactly do and if they are really AI?
Yeah, very happy to do so. So we're using, and we're one of the few companies that are probably using different kinds of AI, and neither of them is actually machine learning and deep learning and neural networks. So what we are doing on the AI front is something that is very, very old, and people can probably argue that it isn't actually AI, which is combinatorial optimization. So what we are doing is we're getting a long list from our customers every day of, call it 1,000 cargoes that they move from. One of them needs to move from Berlin to Hamburg. The another one needs to move from Heidelberg to Hamburg. Another one from Hamburg to Munich, with all the details about the cargoes. And what we're basically trying to figure out is how to put this on the least amount of trucks. So, can you put them simultaneously on the same truck? Can you route the trucks in an intelligent way so they form a loop, so they stop where they start? So it's like very, very old school. It's almost operations research, combinatorial optimization, which is just incredibly complex, incredibly computational intensive. And, might be AI, might not be AI, and I'm not an expert in it to evaluate that. The other part, and the part why we actually think we are an AI company and that we focus a lot of our attention on is because we're using AI to understand how people interact with each other. So we're using reinforcement learning, and I think we're one of the very few people that actually do that in a business context, to understand how companies work together. So how the company that owns the truck works with the company that owns the cargo, and how to optimize their communication, and how to optimize the pricing they're getting out of every single job. And what we're essentially doing is we're taking this idea of an expert system that is driven by a decision tree, and kind of put this into a new world, into a modern world where we do what is very, very imaginatively called decision tree learning, where we learn the decision tree from observing people interact with it. That's kind of what we're doing.
Cool. And Dirk, so how to say, Zalando, as we all know, is one of the companies that has been investing more in the data science in the last years, increasing its data scientists by a lot. So I remember like 3 years ago, there was like how many? 3, 4, 5? And now there's like 30. So what are you guys doing with AI there?
I mean, I worked as a couple of companies before, and I think Zalando is a great place to work in AI. You don't have to do it for my team. There are many other teams who do AI. And the great thing about Zalando is, they're Europe's largest fashion retailer, but at the same time, they consider themselves as a tech company. So they really try in every business unit to bring tech into it, and AI is a critical part of technology. And whether it's about, and then Zalando has this tradition to say, okay, to have a unique customer experience and value proposition, we do a lot of technology ourselves. So we don't buy standard software, but we try to tailor it really to be specific to our business needs to really have a superior value proposition. And this, of course, makes cool jobs because and an interesting use cases for AI, because whether, for example, consider predicting your assortment even before season start. I mean, in fashion, an article is often only 12 weeks on sale, and the purchase decision is 6 months before even you put it on stock. And we have our own labels, so we even produce our own clothes. So you have this lead times of several months, and the article, it's a cold start, so you have no history. So then you start transfer learn, okay, what articles are different, what are they, do you have any data points you can use? And that's very exciting, and you have many use cases like this. You have it in logistics. Most of our SKUs, we have only one stock unit. If you look at a jeans of a certain size in a certain warehouse, we only have one single piece of these jeans because there's so many sizes and so many variations. So to do a forecast on a unit of one, that is an incredible, exciting task. And then I work in marketing, so we try really to have one-to-one communication when we communicate to our customers on Facebook and Google. Then Facebook and Google, they have huge machine learning. We have machine learning ourselves. You want to have those machines to talk to each other. You don't want to share a lot of data due to data privacy. So it's incredibly interesting. And you can go on the website, of course. So I mean, I think there's no business unit. I mean, it's true for every business, and it's certainly true for Zalando that you can use AI really in every business unit, I think.
Yeah, actually, I must say, for the people that I know that have been going through Zalando, everybody told me amazing stories from this company, because it's really nice to be in a company that really believes in the power of data science. It's really nice. So, Florian, I have a question for you about more or less the same. So, what you would do is to automatize the reading of documents to be able to go through them. But how far are you in this automatization? Is it possible to do the whole process automatic, or there's some human interaction in the middle?
This heavily depends on the type of document we're looking into. So actually what we're doing is we're using like information extraction. We're doing three things. We're doing OCR first, which means basically as we are dealing with scanned contracts most of the time, we need to convert it first into machine readable text. This is the first step of AI, so to say. Then document classification, like looking at a document, what type is it? Is it a, I don't know, an invoice, a lease, or whatever? And then the third most important step is information extraction, which is basically populating a data model, like highly structured data model, with data from a document. So you're reading through the document in an automated way. We try to pull out data like invoice amounts and whatever, invoice numbers, or in a real estate lease, the parties, termination clauses, or whatever, and put everything into a ERP consumable way in a structured database. On, let's say, simple document types like an insurance contract, or on simple leases, we get a near 100% automation. On a very complex documentation like a loan agreement or a real estate, it's much slower. There's lots of human intervention still needed, but the process is AI enhanced. It means it gets very much faster because you get already many of your data points filled out by the machine automatically.
Cool. Have you ever quantified how much time people save because of this?
Yeah, we have, but our customers did more like this. And this depends, again, heavy on the use case. It's something on like around 40% on the complex documents to more than 90%, or of course 100% if it's complete automation. This really very much depends on the use case.
Yeah, because time is money. So, Alex, you were saying about so we're going to be also going in the same path all the way. So you were saying, and a bit what we were talking now about you, totally automation or not, but in your case would be, are you using the AI or the machine learning decisions just itself, or do you have some kind of human-based decisions behind?
Yeah, and that's obviously quite an interesting question to think through, whether you want to involve the human decision maker, in our case they call it dispatcher, whether you want to involve them still in the process or not. We very much keep them in the process, because very much like Florian's use cases, stuff can go wrong and stuff will go wrong. We have a customer and that's the greatest thing we've ever seen on the data side. They wanted to move a canoe, and getting the computer to understand the dimensions of a canoe and what a canoe actually is incredibly complicated, and it's something that for us in most instances doesn't make any sense to automate. So you still need the human in the process, because there is still so much stuff in reality that is going wrong. What you can do though is you can take a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff of the human, that the human is concerned with away. You can give him, and that's our approach, you just give him good alternative and good options to decide on, but leave the decision with the human. So what we are doing and what our software is doing is basically it's purging away all of the crap decisions you can make and just focusing on, here is 3, 5, 7, 10 good decisions. They differ, but they might have a different level of goodness about them.
Yeah, please, Dirk.
Yeah, but Alex, here I have a question. I mean, I know you do incredible complex, and I mean, we talked before, and you do great software and great stuff. But if you say at the end it's only decision support for the human, then I would argue it's not even AI. Then you say it's decision support, But if you say at the end it's human intelligent, then the AI was not intelligent. But I mean, I know it's a little bit offensive maybe, and I know, I mean, it's vastly complex what you do, but is it AI then?
I think that depends a lot on what you actually understand by what AI does, and for me, AI is more about it's solving an actual issue that people have in an innovative way, in a way that is kind of configuration-less or configuration-free almost. So yeah, the human still makes the decision, but I think the reality will be that in a lot of use cases, the human will have some involvement still in the process, and then AI is basically about making sure that you have ways that for technology to be compatible with the human. But I think for us, the interesting thing for us, that the reason why we use AI is not to get the human out of the process, but it's to have a system that kind of learns by example, and that starts, that doesn't need to know what a canoe is to make a decision.
But Dirk, following the subject, so do you believe AI should be totally automatized, or should maybe be someone involved to take some decisions? I'm not going to say this creepy thing about controlling that it doesn't kill us, but being there to use it as a tool, or is it a whole destination? It's a whole system by itself?
I mean, several answers to this. I think it makes sense to phase in a technology slowly. So you want to understand it before you have it run wild without you be able to control. So this is one thing. But then I wonder, I wouldn't maybe not call it intelligence before that. Then before that, it's just a tool. It's like, I mean, if you have a car that does autonomous driving, if it always drives by itself except when it doesn't, then it's not autonomous driving. Then it's a car that's at some stage we need to accept, okay, even if the machine is making mistake, maybe the criteria is if it makes less mistake than a human driver, then that is the stage we let it run loose, or maybe we have even a more strict or higher bar for this. And I also want to comment on something you mentioned before, that you say AI is automating use cases. I think in most cases it isn't, because actually AI is, you change how you do something when you introduce AI. For example, I mean, my team runs campaign at Zalando, and if you have humans run the campaigns, then you can do a couple of hundred campaigns. So you can say, okay, I do for a certain brand like Adidas, I do a campaign in Germany, and I want to target, I know, male from 20 to 30 or something like this. With AI, we want to run thousands. We now run thousands of campaigns, and we want to scale it maybe to 10,000, 100,000 campaigns. And if something goes wrong, I need a marketeer to stand up in the night and then have a look what's going wrong and why we spend so much money on this campaign. Then I will never be able to scale. And it's a different use case. I mean, it's both called marketing, but it's a totally different way to do marketing.
I would disagree with it needs to be completely automated to call it AI, because, for example, if we process our documents and we have a review process later on, and we have a 4 eyes principle, means we have a first reviewer, a second reviewer, second one is correcting the output of the first one, often very much, and to call the first reviewer not intelligent would be an insult, because it's a human being who's doing this work, and the machine is basically the very first step, so we have 3 review processes. So I don't see a good definition of AI that it leads to complete automation.
But please.
And I think, Dirk, to your point about scaling and about kind of the fact that human invention in a process kind of inhibits scaling, and that's absolutely true. But what you still have to realize, and what you do and what we're doing is you're almost changing the phase where scaling becomes an issue. Like you take some. So, for example, in our world, a dispatcher right now is in charge of somewhere between 15 and 20 trucks. That's the limit of scaling. After that, you need a second dispatcher, and that's a person, and it costs money and everything. similar for your marketing manager. I don't know what the marketing manager to campaign ratio is, but presumably it's limited at some factor. And what technology, let's call it technology, and maybe it's artificial intelligence, but what the technology that might be artificial intelligence does now is to say, all right, this factor no longer is 15 or 20, it's 100, it's 150, which is like a step change. So you move the goalpost as to when you start to have scalability problems.
I mean, to having the human in the loop and having the machine augmenting to scale the human intelligence. I mean, I totally agree with this. I mean, we have a lot of great people working at marketing, hundreds at Zalando, and I mean, they do creative work. They set the strategy for the campaign. I mean, in one country we want to grow, in the other one we want to reactivate customers. I mean, so they set both the strategy, they have the creative. They then look at the results overall and change strategy based on this. My point was just, it's not that we are not augmenting humans, but I just say, okay, if we feel that it's always the machine, we always, I mean, I think there are parts of the process we should be able to give to the machine, and only then we can call it AI. And there will other stages, and maybe in your business case it's in every stage, and in my business case it's in the beginning and the end, and I have automation in the middle. But AI really means that I don't feel I have to get up every hour and check the numbers, because I mean I have 4 boys at home, so if I need to get up anyway all the time. So if I have to look after my machines, then I have other problems.
But Alex, talking about the same subject, so there's a lot of companies that they launch a product and they claim they are using AI, but they aren't. So they are hiring 200 people somewhere to deal with this data and answer the people. What's your point of view about this?
If the customer is happy about it, then the customer is happy about it. I think AI is just a hype word right now, and a lot of companies just, claim they do AI and live in this world where nobody really gets what it is. And I think where people have a technical view, and I have a very commercial view on what AI is. But if you can commercialize it, if you can figure out how to get 1,000 people in a low-cost environment spun up at any time somebody enters something to your system, if your customer's happy about it, if you're making money off it, then it might not be AI. You might just put an AI label on it, but it's a good business model, and it's a valid business. And I think there's nothing to say about that other than good job.
And Dirk, do you want to answer? Please.
Yeah, maybe. I absolutely agree with what Alex said. And I think there's 2 kinds of companies. There's companies who are looking for a solution to a problem, and then they might apply AI or not. Our company is applying AI or deep learning or whatever it's called. And there's other companies who just want to do AI. So they start up as a AI company, a deep learning company, but they don't have a business case. So we're meeting lots of these companies as like in pitches and stuff like this, but as they are not specialized in anything, basically it's very hard for them to generate business.
Cool. Actually, I was going to ask you something, Dirk, but I think I will ask everybody. Actually, I'm going to ask 3 questions, everybody. Let's do it quick, okay? So we don't have a lot of delay. First of all, about automation, what we were saying now, before, like 1 minute ago, will AI fully automatize processes in the future?
Depending on the process, yes.
Cool.
I share that view. It depends on the circumstances, but it has potential to do it.
I reiterate what I had earlier. It will change processes, and some parts will be automized, and there will be new steps where the human will have new ideas what to do.
Perfect. Then another thing. So we were talking about the buzzword AI. Should we use AI, the word, or would you rather call it machine learning, deep learning?
We at our company have the definition of AI is basically everything from rule-based to statistical things to deep learning to SVM, machine learning, whatever stuff. Then we have machine learning as a subpart of AI. And then we have something as deep learning or whatever as a subpart of machine learning. That's our definition of AI.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on what your audience is for that question. I think if you talk to, and a lot of people here are data scientists, then I think you need to be a bit more careful about what you call AI and what you don't call AI. If you go out into the German Mittelstand, into a company somewhere in the middle of God knows where, and try to talk to them about innovative technologies, then yeah, just call your regression analysis AI. That's absolutely fine. I mean, they love the word. They can rationalize in-house. They can rationalize working with you or working with innovative technology. Then by all means go for it. But I think you need to I think there isn't really a clear-cut definition of what AI is, so just make use and be careful about where you use it and what audience you use it for, and make the best use out of it.
I think AI is helpful as a placeholder for the big thing I don't have another name for. So all other terms like Florian also said and Alex, like machine learning, they have a precise definition, but it's only part of what we do. We have a system where several algorithms interact. We, as agents, we interact with reality. We do experimentation all the time in A/B tests. Several algorithms learn from it. So there's a level of complexity that's beyond the individual algorithm. And AI is a label which is as helpful as any other label until we understand more closely what it is.
Cool. And again, for everybody, what makes a good AI product and what makes a bad AI product?
I think it's dependent on the use case. In my case, in marketing, big data is the easy thing. For the customers that come every day to our website, these are the easy ones to recommend something or do something. But most of our customers, they come very rarely. So small data is anomalies and early signals. This is more complex, and there the algorithms are actually, so I mean, setting up a deep learning is not hard any longer. You can download it from the internet. You can learn on your data. My scientists are done in a day with setting up a new deep learning. But understanding how do we estimate customer value for someone who has not even done his first order, this is complicated, and I might need a smart statistician who's inventing something new which does not even exist. So small data and anomaly is a hard part in marketing, and I think it might be different in other use cases.
I just want to take a second to talk about what bad AI is, because I think that's important, and I think, and I realize I made the case before that everything kind of is AI, so this will be sound incredibly weird. But for me, bad AI is something that very, very blatantly isn't AI, but calls itself AI. It's an ERP system, it's a database that tries to, because it's a database vendor, it's an ERP system vendor that just slaps AI as a marketing label on something that, to even the naked eye, to any definition of what AI might be, isn't AI. And I think that's what is detrimental to a lot of talent, but also to a lot of companies working in the space, that you're confronted with people and with your customers having made experience where there is a big vendor and they sell their 20-year-old legacy database product and they call it AI all of a sudden.
For me, it's a tricky question. Bad AI is, from a business perspective, everything which solves some kind of problem for me is good AI. And as the AIs we are building currently are very focused, very narrow in the focus. We don't have a general AI, no one has it yet, super AI or whatever. It needs to fit a purpose, basically. But besides this, in a research, there's many applications which don't have a really good business case, but they're leading to something new maybe in the future, like GANs or reinforcement learning. But I heard now you have a use case, that's great. I guess these are like baby steps with no real-world applications yet towards something more generic, which at some point might be something as a super AI, which might tackle different problems with the same basic network, basically.
Cool. Cheer, please, Dirk. Go ahead.
I'd like to add one thing to the answer. For me, bad AI is if someone is doing it alone. I think the days are over when someone is copying some code from the internet and doing it all by itself. Now AI is more integrated in software applications and business processes, and it's really cross-disciplinary. And for example, I've seen a lot of algorithms. There are super smart ideas in it, but they are badly engineered. So probably you should have your mathematicians or your whatever it is, have them work closely with engineers and closely work with business analysts to make sure you optimize for the right KPI. Because AI is so efficient in optimizing that if your target is slightly off, it's optimizing totally for the wrong thing. In our case, for example, acquiring customer, which will not be profitable in the end. So bad AI often is, I think, then when someone is doing it alone instead of doing it together with others to make sure it's well engineered and it's really meeting the business.
Yeah, actually, you're totally right that at the end we have to look at the profitability of things. So it's one of the best KPIs that we can see for using any AI system. But I wanted to go to the last question, okay, and we might have some time for some extra questions for the audience. So, guys, why is your company not afraid of using AI as so many other companies?
Well, we started as an AI company, so basically we built our foundations on this, even if it was rule-based in the first, but like in the second year we already started with deep learning like 5 years ago, and this is foundation of our company, basically, and the main idea to have AI-assisted systems. So this was not a real question anytime.
I think for us, it's because it's actually nowadays very easy to do. You don't have to be a big company to do AI. You don't have to have thousands of engineers. You don't have to find the one needle in a haystack engineer that can help you and that can fit into your team. It's very easy. It's very easy to start. It's very easy to hire people, and it's just, as a company developing an AI system, and it's never been easier and it's never been more commercially viable than today.
I think for Zalando, it's a way to be relevant for its customers. So having a value proposition that you can return for free is possible because we can predict returns and optimize our logistic. Or when you come to the website and you actually get recommendations, last time you bought this and now this would be a fit. So the more personal we are and the more we can predict actually business transactions, the more valuable our value proposition is and the more relevant we will be for customers. And I mean, I don't want to buy clothes without any help. So if I go to a shop, my wife is with me, or I speak to a salesperson, and I don't want to do it online as well.
Cool. So now we are super on time, so we have time for some questions. Does someone has any question for those three AI experts? No, not everybody, anybody? Please don't be shy. We have a question there. Perfect.
First, thank you. Very interesting talk. And I still want to go back to the definition of AI. I was quite triggered by that discussion. So particularly, I want to ask Derek. You mentioned if a process not complete, replaced by, let's say, technologies, it's better not to call AI. So can I understand that that means you define AI as its accuracy? And how about the benchmark, the reference? Because when we call ourselves intelligent, of course, we are comparing ourselves to other animals, right? Also, in case of, for example, autonomous driving, it's quite a difficult task. It's very complex compared to maybe some other tasks like web marketing. So also maybe at the moment, software for autonomous driving is not perfect. We don't have any fully self-driving software yet. But if you look at technology level, they probably are much more intelligent than some algorithms we use for web marketing. But because they are not accurate enough, can we call it not AI? While the other technologies used for online marketing, because they can totally replace human process, in that sense, they are called AI. So how do you feel? What's your comment on this?
Yeah, can you just say the question in one sentence? So I'm not sure. So otherwise, I might be off when I answer.
Okay. My question is that when you define AI, do you also take the reference or benchmark into account? So do you do a horizontal comparison of AI?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't. I mean, I don't have a definition of AI because there are so many. And for me, there is really no benchmark, but it's an iterative process. So you think you have a problem, you put a machine on it, and the machine is right in one angle where you didn't expect it, and it might be surpass human intelligence, and then it's worse or has a bias in some other angle, and then you need to look at it. And the human is not the reference for me, because obviously in many specific use cases, a machine is much better as a human already. So you don't want a machine just to play as good in chess or Go than a human. You want to be better. And then in other things, we know AI will probably never achieve it, or it will be a long time until we have strong AI. So I think there is no fixed reference, whether it's a human or it's of the use case, because you learn when you apply AI, and you will change your reference with every new baseline.
Cool, thank you. Now it appears here one chatbot as a panelist, but unfortunately we have no time for this to ask her questions. So I would like to first thank you, and second ask you for a last statement about AI or about whatever you want to say. Okay, feel free. I'm sorry we don't have more time for questions, but they will be sitting there now, so you can ask them as many questions or give Dirk as many CVs as you want.
Interesting last statement. AI is here to stay and will become more important in the future.
Yeah, in 10 years, nobody will talk about AI anymore because it's just so commonplace. Just as you don't talk about internet companies anymore because it's just everyone is an internet company. In 10 years, everyone will be an AI company.
As I mentioned, I have children, and I wonder when they are grown up whether they will be happy with me as the father, and I wonder whether the machines we program, if they will be one day proud of us.
So, thank you very much. Please give those guys a big round of applause.